Hello again, I'm Dr. Nev and I'm a licensed psychologist, and this is part 5 of my 10-part series on depression management. I routinely utilize these techniques with clients in my private practice, and I hope you will find them to be useful as well. If you are experiencing significant distress, please contact your local psychologist. In today's video, we will discuss 3 irrational belief systems that typically lead to feelings of frustration, pessimism, and further aggravate symptoms of depression. The first irrational belief system is known as all or nothing or black and white thinking. So individuals who are depressed tend to usually think in these either or terms, either people love me or they hate me, either somebody is a friend or an enemy, and psychologists recommend trying to find those shades of gray and not thinking so much in those extremes, all or nothing, black and white type of extremes. So essentially what we try to teach clients is that 2 things can be true at the same time. You can disagree with Allah and still follow Allah. You can disagree with your friend and still like and respect your friend. You can be gentle in some situations and tough in other situations. So that cognitive flexibility is an essential component to battling depression and recognizing that there is oftentimes quite a bit of gray in any situation in life. And if we're only focused on seeing people or things in extremes, it's either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever, we oftentimes end up feeling distressed and disappointed, which further fuels those symptoms of depression. The second irrational belief is the Fortuneteller Error. With Fortuneteller Error, individuals basically tell their own fortunes, and usually not for the better. So what I often hear clients say is that they just assume that bad things are going to happen to them anyway, so why even bother? So for example, a college student or a high school student might convince themselves that they're just not smart enough to go to college, so then they don't even apply or take any classes because they've convinced themselves that they will flunk out. So as you can see with Fortuneteller Error, it's a very destructive form of thinking because it allows individuals to stay apathetic, to wallow in self-pity. It also negatively impacts their self-esteem. And worst of all, it leads to a lot of missed opportunity because you've convinced yourself that you will not ever be able to succeed or dig yourself out of whatever hole you're in. So instead, what really works is to try to expect that things are just going to work out for you, that things will be okay, that you will figure it out if you have some challenges that come your way. And ultimately, what's the worst thing that can happen by cultivating this belief that things are just going to work out? The worst thing that can happen is that they don't. But then at least you tried, at least you did something or attempted something versus essentially self-sabotaging by doing nothing at all because you just convinced yourself that you will fail in the first place. The third irrational belief system is called the comparison error, and I hear this one quite often in therapy. So many of my clients believe that they should not be allowed to feel sad or feel depressed. So they will say something along the lines of, my neighbor has it so much worse, she just lost her job, or my grandma was diagnosed with cancer, or this person over there, is struggling in a different way. So how dare I have sadness? How dare I feel depressed? How dare I, when I have this, this, and this, and this in my life to be grateful for? And what I'm going to tell you today is that depression is not a competition, and everyone is allowed to feel sad. And just because somebody has it worse off than you does not mean that you are not entitled to feel sad and disappointed by life and its challenges once in a great while. So remember that you are absolutely within your right to have feelings of sadness, and those feelings are valid even if somebody else has it so much worse off than you do. You are allowed to feel sad without also compounding your sadness with feelings of shame and guilt. So just really think about that for a second. I'm already feeling sad, I'm already feeling depressed about something, and here I am adding salt to the wound by shaming myself for the sadness that I'm feeling because I don't think my sadness is valid since somebody else has it worse off than me. Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? So once you become aware of these irrational thinking patterns, it becomes so much easier to challenge and then eventually eliminate them. And remember that things are rarely black and white, so always try to look for those shades of gray. Also remember that you're not a fortune teller, so don't assume that the worst is going to happen for you before you've even attempted to make your situation better. And also, you do not have to have the most pitiful life circumstances in order to feel justified in your sadness. Remember that most of all, you are a human being and you are allowed to experience negative emotions. However, be mindful not to self-sabotage in the process by strengthening your depression through inaction, irrational expectations, or those unnecessary feelings of guilt and shame. Thank you so much for watching part 5 of my 10-part series on depression management. If you found this video to be useful, please subscribe so YouTube can alert you anytime I post a new video. Thank you for your time and take care.